You guys know I love podcasting and listening to podcasts, and I'm guessing if you're listening to this that you love podcasts too. Have you ever considered podcasting yourself? It is a great way to reach your audience, grow your know, like and trust factor, and not need to show your face unless you want to. If it is something you've thought about but you don't know where to start, then head over to becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz, BAP quiz, to access a 2-minute quiz that will help you work out what type of podcast might suit you. That's becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz. You're listening to the Mindset and Action podcast, bringing you the map to grow and streamline your business in 2023. I'm your host, Donna Eade, your go-to gal for all things podcasting, planning and productivity. And I'll be bringing you all that plus mindset goodness from experts with knowledge to share. Let's make 2023 the year of success in your business. Trust is built on telling the truth, not telling people what they want to hear. Sinek. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here with me today for today's episode, where I'm going to go over 5 strategies for audience connection. We are looking at the know, like and trust factor. So let's jump in. So you have probably heard of the know, like and trust factor. If you have been a listener of this podcast for any length of time, then you've definitely heard of the know, like and trust factor. But what I have never done is kind of go into strategies for how you can build it. I've always talked about it in relation to your weekly content that you put out and how you communicate with your audience, but I haven't really gone over strategies for creating that connection. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, the know, like and trust factor is a crucial element of building a loyal audience. It is so important and should not be underestimated. It can help you build stronger relationships with your potential clients, increase your engagement with those clients, and ultimately drive business growth. So for me, it is a no-brainer that we should be aiming to build that know, like and trust factor. And you've heard it said before, people buy from people, and that has never been truer in this day and age. It is competitive out there in the business world because people are buying people. The great thing about that is that there is room for you because you are the UPS in your business. Nobody is going to do it quite like you. So there is that opportunity for you to really find your ideal clients and for them to find their ideal provider because you are so unique. However, you do need to get out there and show people your personality and show people who you are so that they know where you are when they're ready to buy. So the first step, the first strategy in building that audience connection is to know your audience. So the know in know, like and trust is for them to know you, but it's really important for you to know them before you start trying to sell to them. So it's really important to understand their needs, desires, and pain points so that you can speak to them. If you don't know your audience and you're just putting out information into the world, yes, you're going to attract some people. Yes, you are going to build some kind of audience, but it's not necessarily going to be the audience that you want. It is not necessarily going to be an audience of buyers, and it is not necessarily going to be the size of audience that you need for what you're doing. So it's really important to have an understanding of their needs, desires, and pain points so that you can speak to those when you're putting out your content, and that is going to draw those people to you. So how do you find out what their needs, desires, and pain points are? This is a lot of data gathering from a lot of different sources, and it's going to be something that you have to kind of be quite strategic at. So you can do surveys, you can do polls, you can do stuff on social media, and you can ask for customer feedback. All of these things are from all different areas. Now, if you've listened to any of the podcasts recently, you know I've been talking about batching, you know I've been talking about content switching and how to reduce the amount of time that you're taking. This is one of the sorts of things that can really suck your time, because it is important to do it to get this research done, but there are so many different elements to it that you've then got to pull together. So it's definitely something to sort of sit down and be very strategic about planning out so that you can get the most benefit from it. So you can do a survey. SurveyMonkey allows you to do free surveys, I think, for up to 10 questions. So you could do a short survey that you can send out. You can put the link out on your socials. You can put it in your email. You can put it at the end of your blog posts or show notes, in your video descriptions, and ask people to fill that out. That's a great way of getting some data. You can create polls on your social media stories and on Facebook. You can do those polls. So that's a great way of surveying your social media audience. I see a lot of people asking those kinds of questions in there, what do you like best, this or that? And it helps them determine whether they're going to do a webinar versus doing a workshop, different, a challenge or a boot camp, things like that. So they are a great way to get a quick response to one question from your audience. Social media listening. So actually going on social media and looking at your audience, seeing what they're saying on their social media. That is a bit more time intensive because you're having to go out and find it rather than you put in a post that people can come to and comment on. But it is so invaluable to hear and see what they're actually saying. So if there is a group that you are part of, whether it's your own group or somebody else's group that has got a cohort of your audience in it, is definitely worth having a shifty round there and seeing what's going on in the group. I know when I was doing my wedding business, there was a wedding group on Facebook that had a lot of wedding vendors in it, and they were asking questions in there. It was an absolute gold mine of information for me, where I could look up, see what people were asking, and I could create a podcast based on that question to answer it for that person. But I knew that there were multiple people asking that question. So it was really good for that. And you can use that kind of thing to go in, listen to what people are saying in groups and note that down, take some notes, put it into your data file. And then you can send out an email and ask for customer feedback from people that have already bought from you. Ask them what they enjoyed, ask them what they would change, and see what comes back. It is always difficult to get feedback, to get reviews, to get people to fill in surveys. It is not an easy task, but I would say don't give up on it and do it a couple of times. Don't just send it out once and nobody's filled it out, so it doesn't matter, I will move on to the next thing, because not everybody looks at all of their emails. You will often find that people will delete them. The number of times that I've put something out in an email and gone back to my audience and said, okay, well, I'm not going to do that because nobody wanted it, and then I've had people send me an email and go, but I didn't see that email. And it's just something that's been overlooked because our inboxes are really full. So don't be afraid to mention it a few times. And if you do an email that's specifically for it, customer feedback or a survey, you can always in the next coming emails say, hey guys, don't forget I've got a survey that I'd like you to fill out. If you click this button, it'll take you to it, and just put it as an add-on, a PS in the following few emails to get some more results in there. The other thing to do is, once you've got all this information, once you have sort of curated what their needs, desires, pain points are, once you've done this research, create your ideal customer avatar. Create that person who you're going to speak to when you're doing your content, whether that's social media posts or your weekly content. Have that person in mind so that you are talking specifically to that person. Now, this brings me back to something that Matt McWilliams said when he was on the podcast last year. He was talking about his book, Turn Your Passions into Profits. And he said that while he was writing that book, which is aimed at his ideal client avatar, he actually wrote it to Pete, and he actually does his emails to Pete. So whenever he's writing anything for his audience, he always starts it Dear Pete or to Pete, because Pete is the name of his ideal customer avatar. So that helps him when he's writing his content to make sure that it is aimed at that specific person, that specific type of person that he's identified as his ideal client avatar. So when you build your client avatar using the information that you've gained from these systems, it's going to allow you to really speak to the core of the pain points and issues that your clients are having, or your potential clients are having, and build that know, like, and trust with them because of how well you know them. The second strategy that I think is really important to look at is being authentic and relatable. So making sure that when you are online, sharing your content, writing on social, that you are being authentically you. And that is relatable. So you might think, oh no, nobody's going to relate to me. I've got to be professional. I've got to be X. I've got to be Y. I've got to be Z. Or really, you need to be yourself, because like I said earlier, you are your unique selling point. Nobody is going to do it quite like you. So you need to be able to showcase that, because that is what is going to draw people to you who like who you are, who like the way you work, and are willing to pay you to help them with whatever it is that you do. So your personality, your values, your unique perspective, those are all things that you need to be sharing with your audience. And it's not to say that it needs to be a complete me fest. It shouldn't be a complete me fest, but I think it is important to include a little bit of yourself in everything that you do, and it's important to reintroduce yourself. You are constantly getting new followers, hopefully, on social media. You're constantly getting new people sign up to your email list. It's really important to make sure that people know who they're hearing from, because that is what is going to build that know, like, and trust factor. And one of the ways that you can do this is through your copy. So I've said before, the reason I love podcasts is because you get to hear my voice, you get to hear the personality, you get to understand where my passions are, because you'll hear it in my voice. You'll get to understand what I struggle with. You know, I'm pretty transparent on this podcast. I've spoken before about my mental health struggles. And I am quite open with you guys, and that comes through. In email, it's very easy to get that lost because it's, you know, an email. It's just words on a page. But through your copy, you can definitely put your personality. So look at making sure that you have got your brand voice sorted and clear. And I think we're probably going to talk about that in an episode coming up. What is your brand voice? But making sure that your brand is who you are, this authentic person, this relatable person, because at the end of the day, we're all people. Make sure that that is coming across in the things that you're putting out there. So if you are not somebody who would start off an email to your friend, dear friend, then don't start your emails to your audience off, dear audience. You know, I will often say, hey there, lovely. And sometimes I'll use the name, I'll do hey there and the name, depending on the week and how I feel when I'm writing it. But hey there is how I will start my emails, because I'm not somebody who writes to so-and-so or dear so-and-so. That's not what I that's not my personality. So those things come through, and then that builds on what they already know. So if you are the same on social as you are in email, as you are on your weekly content, that's going to build the know, like, and trust factor, because you're being authentically you in all places, and that's going to come through. And it's important to share some of your personality. It's important to share insights. It makes you more relatable. So it's not, like I said, you don't expect people to come onto your business profile and then see all of your personal stuff, to pictures of your children, pictures of your house, pictures of your dinner, all of that. It doesn't have to be that. And I would urge you away from that. But it can be stories. You can write stories in there. You can relate things back to how you did it, how you overcame it, the challenges that you've had, and how you got through it, because that's going to help them see how you can help them as well. And it is also important for you to put out when you're struggling. If you're having a hard time, we all go through that. It's not to sit there and moan on social media. And I would never say, one of the things that I have learnt from some of the people that I follow is that they will often tell you about the hard times after they've happened, because when you're in the thick of it is sometimes not the best time to talk to other people outside of your world about it. But coming back and saying, hey guys, you may have noticed that I've been a little off recently, or I haven't been around on social as much. And that's because I've been dealing with something. And, you can go into it as much or as little as you like, but showing them that you are human and that you have flaws and that you're not perfect is a great way to build that know, like, and trust with them, because they can relate to that. They can understand that. They've been there. They've been through that too. And they'll appreciate you being honest about it. So it's not that you have to share everything. It's not that you have to make your business profile a personal profile that's just all you. Not at all. I wouldn't ever advocate that. But sharing your personality. So if you're like me, I'm a crazy cat lady. I will share my cats on my social sometimes because that is an intrinsic part of who I am. I'm a crazy cat lady. You probably heard Twinkle meowing in the background just then. She is deaf. She will not hear me if I call her, and she meows really loudly now that she's deaf for some reason. So, I apologize if you hear it in the background, but that's the reality of who I am and what my life is like. And I'm not going to hide that from you guys, because you guys have pets too. You, I'm sure, have gone on live on Instagram or Facebook and had the dog bark at the door knocking or something like that. It's real life. And those real life moments is what makes us human to other people and relatable. So that's a really important part of building that know, like, and trust factor, is being authentically you. And I know authentic is a sort of almost a cliche word now and everybody uses it, but it is really important that people can know the person behind the business. And more so these days, I think, because people are really buying from people. We're not buying from big corporate companies so often when it comes to certain purchases. Maybe, if you're going to buy a car, you go to a car company and you buy the car. But for a lot of things, we are looking at small business owners. We are looking at supporting local, and more people are doing that. But in doing that, there is always a risk for the person making that purchase. Is this person genuine? Are they real? Are they just going to disappear once I've given them the money? Am I going to get what I paid for? So, for example, I bought my daughter's 21st birthday cake from somebody on Instagram who makes cakes. I'm going to give her a shout out. Her name is Els Bakes. I will link her in the show notes. She's absolutely fantastic. She is local to me, and you would have to go and collect from her. So it's not great for a majority of you, but I absolutely love this girl and I am willing to support her small business. She shows up Weekly, daily, she talks about her mental health struggles. She has a mum who helps her in her business. Her mum has recently been through some health issues. She was very transparent with that. She lost one of her grandparents recently. She shared that because she is a one-woman band, as it were, doing this baking business. And she needs to let people know, because otherwise they would wonder, why have you not responded to my messages? Why have you not given me a quote? Why have you not done X, Y, and Z? And they may feel like she's a flaky person that can't be trusted. But you know that she's not, because she shares with you what she's going through. She shares with you what is happening, and she lets you know when she's going to be working on her inbox, because her job is to bake. That's what she loves to do. Her job is not admin. So she will reserve her admin time for specific times of the day, specific days of the week. And she will let people know, look, I've got a really busy day. I'm going to be in my emails tomorrow. I'll get back to you. And she's very clear on her socials. So she builds that know, like, and trust factor because she is very real. She's very authentic. She is very relatable in the way she shows up online. And that has done her great service, because she now has cakes in different cafes around the county that actually sell her baked goods. And that has come from her building up her reputation over time, because people like her, because people know her, and because people relate to who she is. So I think she's done a fantastic job of sharing. It may be a bit much for you to share as much as she has over the years, but I think it is really important that we show up as ourselves and we give people that insight into who we are, so that they can relate and feel like it even makes them feel more so that they want to support you, because you're being so real, because you're showing up and letting them know what you're going through. And this isn't to say that you need to be online going, oh, woe is me, this has happened today and it was absolutely terrible and blah, 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 blah. You don't need to do that. But if you can give people a glimpse into your life, just even the happy glimpses, that you took Friday off and you took the kids out for the day because they were off school or something, and you share a little bit of a snippet of what you did, that's relatable. People have children, people know what it's like to be able to get a sneaky little bit of time off with them and do something fun. So it doesn't have to be the dark side of life. It can be the light side of life. It can be a little bit of both. I would share a little bit of everything. A little bit, not all of it, just share a little bit, enough for people to realize that you're real, that you make mistakes, that you go through hard times, that you can sneak off and find little bits of joy in your day in different ways. And that is just going to show them who you are and build that know, like, and trust factor. The next strategy is to foster genuine engagement with your audience. This is crucial and so important. And I think as small business owners, this is where we can make one of the biggest impacts with our audience over those bigger personalities in the space, because once you get to a certain level, it becomes really difficult to respond to everybody personally. And there is just something different when you get a response from a person and it's a genuine communication. So the example I would give here is YouTube. And that's because I spend a lot of my time on YouTube. I like YouTube. I watch more YouTube than I do regular terrestrial TV these days. And that's because of the personal connection. I watch a lot of different creators, including post-van lifers who are building off-grid living situations. And I love watching these things. I'm a big people watcher. So YouTube is absolutely a favorite place of mine, because people are giving me insights into their lives, and I will often comment on their videos. Now, does it happen every time? No, but sometimes they will respond back to me, and these people have quite big followings, so I can understand they haven't got time to sit there and respond to every single comment. But I have a YouTube channel, and my YouTube channel is tiny in comparison. And so therefore I have time to respond individually to people who bother to comment on my videos. And I love to do it. I love that they've taken the time to respond, because I know that they've really got something out of the video. And then I take time to respond back to them, answer their question, give them an insight, respond and say thank you to them, because they've made that effort with me. And that builds a bond between us. And from that, I've had people come into my Facebook group. I've had people go and buy things from my website. So that is a great way to build that connection with people. So creating that engagement, responding to comments, messages, inquiries is really, really important in building that connection with your audience, which is in turn going to build that know, like, and trust factor. You can host Q&As, so that's something that's really popular with the YouTubers, but it's something you can bring over into your business. If you have a business where people often have a lot of questions, you can put some questions together and go live and do a Q&A answering some of those questions. You can ask people for questions using the social media boxes on your stories and ask people to send you questions so that you can do a live Q&A. And it's another way of building that connection with people. You could also create your own community spaces. So whether that is using Facebook groups or something else, you can create that sense of community and connection and belonging with not just you and your audience member, but with the audience as a whole. So you're then fostering connections between other people through your audience, which is really powerful. I have gained a lifelong friend from one of those types of communities that I was in, who, you know, they paired us up to be accountability buddies, and that was in 2020. And we are still friends. We still talk now. And I absolutely love the relationship that we have. But if we hadn't joined that community for that person who was leading the community because we liked what she was selling, we would never have found each other. So there is a lot of power in building a community for your audience. So I think that's something that you should take into consideration with whatever your business is. It doesn't mean that there is no space for it. I know that one of my followers, somebody who has been in my world for a while now, one of my old members, she has a group. She is a wedding stationer, but she has a group that is about graphic design and wedding stationery, and she has a group that she talks to. Now, I'm sure that people in that group talk to each other as well as just talking to her, and they build up that connection because they all have a common goal. They're wanting to create wedding stationery, or they're wanting to create some sort of graphics. So they have that commonality, and that brings people together, and it's like for like people. And if you have a audience that becomes friends with each other, that is even more evidence that you've got the right people there, because they're connecting together and building friendships together. And that means that you're getting more like for like people, which means that you're building an audience of similar people, which means that you've got your ICA honed in properly, and that you're actually building that market for yourself, which is fantastic. The fourth strategy for building your know, like, and trust factor is to provide value and solve problems for your audience. So this is where your content comes in, and where what you sell comes in. So whether that's products or services, you can create helpful content that reaches your audience's pain points and solves their problems in bite-sized chunks. You can position yourself as the expert or authority in your niche by sharing tips, insights, and practical advice. And you can build from that this authority in that area, which is going to put you in that position of authority in your audience's eyes. So once you have drilled down into who your ICA is, what their needs are, what their desires are, what their pain points are, you can provide value to them based on what they need, want, and desire. And that in turn can show them how they can get to where they want to be. Because at the end of the day, if they're going to buy something from you, what they're buying is going to get them to where they want to be in a certain area of their life. So you need to talk to them about that and how you can help them. You need to provide value with what you're putting out there. So make sure that your social media posts, your content is geared at providing that value to show them how you can help them. And then you're providing the products or services that they need to solve that problem. And by doing that, you are going to build that know, like, and trust factor. Now, the other side of building that value and solving those problems is getting that feedback. So getting reviews is really important, because once you've helped somebody solve that pain problem that they have, you want to be able to say to other people, see, I've helped this person. You don't have to share full names, obviously, but if the person is okay with you using their first name, or if they are okay with you using their first name and their picture, even more powerful, or if they would take it a step further and do a video testimonial for you, those are gold dust, my friend. But having them give you feedback that you can share with your audience to show that you have done this for people before and it has helped them will help to build your know, like, and trust factor. This alone doesn't do it. So I talk a lot about how content can build your know, like, and trust factor. And we have spoken before about reviews and the power they have. These are two great ways that you can build know, like, and trust factor with your audience. But they have got to buy from you, or somebody has to buy from you and have success with what you sell before you can share that to build the know, like, and trust factor with future people. So these other strategies have to come in place first so that you have got already an audience that has a level of trust in you as a person, as somebody sharing this value with them before you sell to them and then ask them for reviews. And if you do it in this way, you are more likely to get those reviews and feedback because they already knew you long before they bought from you. And it is often said that, people need to see things 7 times before they buy. Some people can be on your email list for years before they decide to take the plunge and buy from you. Now, if you're in a time-sensitive industry like the wedding industry, you have to work through this process a little bit quicker. But if you are not time-bound and somebody could, for all intents purposes, buy from you at any point and get the right result, then building your audience, building a relationship with them on social, through your content, through your emails, is going to be really powerful in making sure that they get the best out of what you sell when the time is right for them. And then once they have had that and had the success, then you can ask them for a review or a testimonial, and they're going to come through for you because by this point, you're a friend in their eyes. They are invested in you as a person and want to see your success. And I say that because that's kind of how I feel about Amy Porterfield. She has been in my world for the last 10 years almost. And I've listened to her. I've got to know her. I like her. I trust her. I absolutely love and adore her dog, Scout, and her husband's pretty fine, as she says herself. But I know things about this woman. I know the life that she lives. I know what her aspirations are. I know where she's working to, what she's working towards, and how she's working towards it. She shares a breakdown of the good, the bad, and the ugly in her business. She has that know, like, and trust factor from me. So when she turned around and put a shout out and said, guys, I'm launching a book. I need people that would help me launch my book. I was like, I'm here, bestie, and she's not my best friend, but I was totally here for it. And I helped out in any way I could to help make that book a success for her. But I was one of over 1,000 people that were in that group who had said, I'm putting my name in the hat. I want to help you launch your book. And that is because she has built that relationship with her audience. Even though I've not had a personal phone call with her, I have had her on my podcast, so we have talked face to face now. But prior to that, I had never had any one-to-one connection with her. Yet she was able to build that know, like, and trust factor to the point where I would hand over my time freely to her to help her out. You want that from your audience. You want them to know, like, and trust you enough that they will take time out of their day to do a review for you without it being something that, they'll get to, that they will actually do it for you. Because loads of people, you send out those requests and they go, yeah, sure, no problem. And then you kind of feel like you can't go back and say, hey, you said you'd do me a review, because you feel like you're pestering, and they haven't done it because it's full off their to-do list. It was on their desk. It's something to do and they haven't done it and they're not thinking about it. So you can go back and ask them because it's just something they've forgotten to do. But if you've built that know, like, and trust factor and they are a raving fan of yours, they will be happy to do it and they will do it quickly. So getting those reviews is a really important part of it as well. And finally, number 5 on the strategies to build your know, like, and trust factor is building your trust through consistency and integrity. This is hugely important. I've spoken about the importance of consistency when it comes to your weekly content and putting yourself out there, but it is hugely important across the board that you are consistent with what you're putting out there. Make sure that if you are promising something, that you're delivering on those promises. If you say you're going to turn up at some time, be reliable, turn up at that time. Maintain consistency through your branding. It is so important because then people are going to know it's you. If somebody saw one of your social media posts not on your feed, would they be able to tell instantly that it is yours? I would hazard a guess that most of you will say probably not. So is there a way that you can bring your branding into it? Now, it doesn't have to have your name emblazoned on it for it to be branded. You can use your colors, you can use your fonts to just encourage that familiarity with it, and that is going to therefore build that trust, build that consistency with what you're putting out there. If you're putting all different fonts on all of the different things that you're putting out into the world, there is no consistency there and people aren't going to register it as something that is yours. And this stuff can be pretty subconscious. It's not even that they're definitely going to go, oh, that's from so and so. It's just an unconscious thing. And it happened the other day. I saw something on Instagram and somebody had shared this post. And as soon as I saw it, I thought that's Amy Porterfield. And when I looked at the account, it wasn't Amy, but what it was a quote from her book. And it was somebody who had used one of Amy's media posts that she shared for her book launch. She shared lots of different graphics that were all in this orangey yellow colour or orange yellow combination colour. It's her book cover colour and her company colour. One of her company colours is yellow. So it was this combination of colours that instantly made me think 2 weeks notice, Amy Porterfield. And it wasn't her that had shared it, it was somebody else that shared it. But that is her branding and that was the strength of it. And the 2 weeks notice branding has only been around for a little while. Now, obviously, I was entrenched in it in the fact that I was part of the book launch squad, but it still stood out to me. I was like, Amy Porterfield. And I read the post because I saw that it was something to do with Amy. So that is really important that you have that. So even if somebody sees your colours and it's not your post, they're instantly thinking of you when they see it. So that's just reaffirming your branding in their head. So it's definitely important to have consistency with those things, with your branding and your messaging across the different channels. So there is something to be said of adjusting your messaging slightly to the platform that you're on, because all of the platforms favor different things, but your core values and your message through that should be consistent across all platforms. So don't share one thing on one platform, another thing on another platform, and never the twain shall meet. You should be sharing the same message across all platforms. There is a benefit to being transparent, being honest and trustworthy in your interactions with your audience, even in challenging situations. So some people will be mean. That's just the way it is. Trolls will be trolls. But how you react and the action that you take in those circumstances is a reflection on you and your brand. So make sure that you're just being consistent with everything you're putting out there. Be honest about things. Be transparent. Like, even when things go wrong, like if you, for example, have said that you're going to go live on a Wednesday evening and you tell everybody that you're going to be there live, and then something happens and you can't be there, just be honest and let people know, because that will stand you in better stead than trying to cover it up or, lying about the reason for it. They will appreciate the honesty much more, and you will have a more loyal following because you were honest about it. So there you have it, guys. That was 5 strategies for building your audience connection and building that know, like, and trust factor. Number 1 was know your audience. Get to know their needs, desires, and pain points, and make sure that you're understanding who your ICA is. The second one was be authentic and relatable. So make sure that you're sharing a little bit of who you are. It is important in this day and age, in the way businesses are run now, that people genuinely get to know who you are and what you stand for so that they can relate to that. The third was to foster genuine engagement. If people have taken the time to DM you, if they've taken the time to email you or reply to a social media post, make sure that you're heading down and commenting back, liking it, letting them know that you've seen it. It makes a huge difference. Number 4 was provide value and solve problems. So this was your weekly content. This was your products and services, making sure that you are providing good service there and asking for feedback so you can share that with your audience. And then number 5 was to build trust through consistency and integrity, to just make sure that you do what you say you're going to do, deliver on your promises, and maintain that brand consistency across your platforms, across what it is that you're saying, your messaging, and creating that know, like, and trust factor with your audience to grow a loyal following. So I hope that has helped. I would love it if you would look at your current strategies to build your know, like, and trust factor. So maybe break them down into those 5 strategies that I've shared today. What are you doing under each of those categories? Is there something that you could improve on? Is there something that you would consider implementing that I've spoken about today? I would love to hear from you in my DMs over on Instagram. I am Donna_Eid_. So you can come and tell me over there. I would love to know what you are doing to build your know, like, and trust factor with your audience. That is it for today, guys. I hope this episode has helped. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.